not only you can give credit to Luis Enrique and to the players, you also have to give credit to Nasser Al Khalifi, who's the president of PSG, because he's been criticized, obviously, for the past years where PSG, let's say, was signing superstars and they were failing in the Champions League, and Nasser Al Khalifi, he's been criticized for thinking for people were like, oh, what does he think? What do PSG think? Do PSG think they can win the Champions League with superstars? They don't know what they're doing. And they're never going to win the Champions League. They're always going to be bottlers in the Champions League. But he's been given quite a lot of stick in the past years, Nasser Khalifi. But you have to give him credit, because he's he and Luis Campos and also the other board members of PSG must have been thinking like, you know what, forget this superstar thing, signing big players to make us win the Champions League. Let's create a team. Let's create a new team, a team that is going to make us win, a team that is happy to play together, that has great chemistry, and create a team with chemistry, that is willing to work for each other, to die for each other, and play like brothers, and able to help each other, not a team full of individuals. And I have to give credit to Nasser Khalifa and his board members of PSG, because they realize that actually a team is needed if you want to win the Champions League, not a bunch of individuals. So, and yeah, here they are now. They won the Champions League last season, and they are in the final of the Champions League once again, back-to-back Champions League finals of Paris Saint-Germain, their third ever Champions League final. So congratulations, and they'll now face in the final against Arsenal in the 13th of May in Budapest. I mean, they're the favourites to win the Champions League final. I think they're the favourites to win it. I think they are a better team than Arsenal. They've got the experience of winning the Champions League. They've been there before. They've done it last year, and winning the first Champions League could, you can clearly see this PSG side. Even though they won the Champions League last season, you clearly see there's still hunger, that desire, that energy from the PSG players and the coach, that they want to keep winning. They want to win another one. They want to win another Champions League. They want to win back to back. It's not like that some teams, because sometimes when they win the Champions League, they're like, you know what? Yeah, that's it. You don't need to win another one. But they still have that hunger, desire to win it again. And you have to give credit to PSG for that. And they're the favourites to win this finals Champions League. They're the favourites. They are a better team than Arsenal. They have a better attack, a better coach. They just won the Champions League recently, and they've got, in my opinion, a better midfield as well. However, defensively, Arsenal are very, very strong. You have to say. So PSG are the favourites. They've got more quality, and they're a better team than Arsenal, and they're the favourites, and they should win the final. However, this kind of things doesn't usually work in Champions League finals, especially in Champions League finals and in cup finals. It's a one-off game. Anything can happen. Maybe PSG could go into that final with some problems and with some injuries, and the same thing goes to Arsenal as well. So it's going to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very, very good final. I mean, I don't agree when people say, "Oh, PSG are going to win this final 4-0, 5-0." I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was for them in the final against Inter last year. Because listen, who knows? Maybe PSG could have a one-off day, like they had, for example, in the Club World Cup final against Chelsea. If Mikel Arteta and his players can execute their game plan really well and nullify the potential weakness that PSG have, like Maresca did in the final for Chelsea against PSG in the Club World Cup final, why can't Arsenal be PSG? And I know, Arsenal, let's say they don't have, for example, Gyökeres, but Gyökeres is getting back to form right now. He's getting back to form. Saka is getting back to form as well. So they got players who can score for them. Obviously, not. If you asked me this question, let's say 3 weeks ago, I'll be like, "No, this Arsenal team going forward, they're struggling." But they've got players like Gyökeres getting back to form, Saka's getting back to form. So and if they can get a goal in the first 10-15 minutes. And we all know, if they can get a goal, the first 10-15 minutes, get a goal 1-0 up, and they shut up shop for the rest of the game, park the bus, and defend really well, which they are very good at it. They're very strong defensively, and they can grind out a 1-0 win. It's not going to be easy because PSG have got great players, but Arsenal can grind out a 1-0 win. and I think and why can't Arsenal do it? So Arsenal have a chance. They can do it. They can beat this Paris Saint-Germain side. It's a one-off game. Anything can happen. PSG could have a one-off day. Who knows? But for sure, you cannot deny that PSG side is a top quality side, and they're the best team in the world right now. And for sure, they are the favourites to win this year's Champions League, and they should win the final. If they're at their best, they should win this final easily. If they're not at their best, then who knows? Anything can happen. It could go to penalties, it could go to extra time. Let's see. Who knows what's going to happen? So I think it's also going to depend on what version both teams show, but I think more on PSG's side, because I think if PSG are on at their best, I don't think this Arsenal side would stop them. So yeah, so that's my early preview for the final of the Champions League. But it's going to be a great tactical battle between Luis Enrique and Arteta, because both teams have kind of different styles. I mean, PSG, they like to attack and play good football, have possession and create chances, score goals, cause problems for the other teams. Whereas Arsenal, they like to have let's say control, especially defensively. They're usually very strong, and they're able to manage the game fantastically well. So they can defend well when they have to as well. So, and also going forward, if they can, they can, when they need to score a goal, they've done it really well this season. If they want to get a lead, so yeah, PSG should win, but it's a one-off game. Anything can happen. There was a couple of decisions in this game I would say that should have gone in Bayern Munich's favour. We're going to talk about Bayern Munich, but I think there was let's mention the refereeing decisions, because like I don't buy to the narrative that PSG paid the referee, because again that's nonsense. But you look at the handball of Joe Neves. How that's not a penalty? How that's not a penalty? Like, I heard from the FIAB ruling on Instagram, I think that a shot or a header doesn't when it comes from the handball doesn't mean it's a guaranteed penalty. Why? Why is that? I mean, I really don't know what is a handball anymore. I mean, the UEFA needs to explain this handball rule. They gave the similar penalty for the Ben White one against Atletico Madrid. They gave the same penalty for the Alphonso Davies in the first leg. They gave a similar one to Nottingham Forest in Europa League semi-final. They gave identical penalty. The Lucas Digne one, I would say, yeah, that was a clear penalty. But the penalty of Alphonso Davies and the penalty of Ben White, I really didn't get it. Like, yes, if you're going to give all those penalties, which is fine, but be consistent. And you don't give a penalty for that one for Joe Neves? Sometimes I really don't understand the UEFA and their handball rule. I mean, what is a handball anymore? What is a handball anymore? The referees gave handballs for this, and they don't give handball for this. Identical situations as well. Sometimes sometimes the referees and the UEFA and the people who are in charge of the referees, they need to explain. They need to explain this handball. What is a handball? What is a handball? What is offside? Because again, there's how many games we see? This decision has been given before, but this time it's not given. How many times we say this? How many times we say, this is inconsistent? How many times? Many times we say it. Like, why can't the referees be consistent with their decisions? I understand the rules being different from the Premier League to the UEFA. But again, UEFA are not consistent with their decisions. They give handball for Alphonso Davies and for Ben White, but they don't give handball for Joe Neves. I really don't get it. I wish the referees are, let's say, if you were gonna give a penalty for that one, even though it's harsh, okay, fine, but stick to it to the next time. Like, set a precedent, set a standard. And with this one, they didn't set a standard. With this one, they didn't set a standard at all. You set a standard by only giving that one a penalty for Joe Neves. But you didn't set a precedent. So, yeah, and then you look at also the handball from Nuno Mendes. Nuno Mendes was on a yellow. Is that not a red card? Is that not a red card? Like, come on. Is that not a red card for Nuno Mendes on that one? So, I really don't get that. Like, we saw the decisions that happened in the Arsenal Atletico Madrid game and this one. Like, I would like the referees, and the people in charge of referees explain to us what is a penalty. What is a penalty? What is a handball? What is offside? Because this is getting very confusing. Because their decision making sometimes is inconsistent to identical situations. So, Yeah, I mean, PSG deserve to be in the Champions League final. Don't get me wrong; they were marginally better than Bayern Munich, and they deserve to go through over 2 legs. But like this kind of decisions has the right to drive Vincent Kompany mad in the touchline. Has the right to drive Bayern Munich fans mad, and Joshua Kimmich and his players being mad, especially Joshua Kimmich, where he was angry for the referee at the end. Like, because these kind of decisions can cost teams, place in the final, winning trophies. And it kind of, played a role. I would say PSG were better than Bayern Munich, but this kind of decisions plays a role as well. Because if, let's say, Bayern Munich have had a penalty for that handball, or Nuno Mendes was sent off, who knows? That could help Bayern Munich. That could help Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich could go on and win the game and come back. Who knows? And also PSG could cope with it better. Who knows? But like, make the right decisions. And the referees didn't do that. For Bayern Munich, I mean, they've been fantastic this season. Don't get me wrong; they've been absolutely brilliant. However, in the big games, you have to say you're like, have they done well enough this season? I mean, I know they beat Paris Saint-Germain in the first game league phase with the Dunstable, but against Arsenal, they lost 3-1. Against Real Madrid, they even though they beat them over 2 legs, I mean, the second leg, Real Madrid competed really well with them in the second leg, and considering Real Madrid have all the problems they've had, and you look over those 2 games, PSG have been better than them. I mean, Bayern Munich got a quality side. They've got great players, great attackers, but at the same time, you can't concede a goal in the first 4 minutes. You can't concede a goal in the first 4 minutes, and I think Bayern Munich didn't help them with the conceding the goal early on. I think they didn't. If you want to make a comeback at home, you cannot concede a goal in the first 4 minutes, and it happened. And it was poor defending as well from Bayern Munich. So attack wins your game. I understand attack wins your games, but defense wins your titles. And Luis Enrique and Mikel Arteta, if you look at PSG and Bayern and PSG and Arsenal, they attack when they have to and they defend when they need to. And there's a reason why they're both in the Champions League. Whereas Bayern Munich have been fantastic going forward, but defensively, not only this over 2 against PSG, also on other occasions, they haven't done well enough to say, okay, we deserve to be in the Champions League final. So you have to also look at the attackers of Bayern Munich. I mean, Michael Olise, he was kept quiet as well by PSG's defense. I don't think he had a good game. I don't think Harry Kane had a good game, even though he scored later on. I think the attackers of Bayern Munich, in my opinion, underperformed. I expected more from them, in my opinion. So it was not a good night for Bayern Munich, and their quest for their first Champions League since 2020 continues, unfortunately for Bayern Munich, and they go out of the semi-finals just like it happened in 2024. I mean, if Bayern Munich win the Bundesliga, they already won the Bundesliga. If they win the German Cup, domestic double would be not bad for Bayern Munich, but obviously their main target is winning the Champions League, and they haven't done that this season. So it's a kind of a disappointment for Bayern Munich's high standards. So also if they want to win the Champions League, they have to improve defensively. They cannot. Yes, they might have great attackers like Michael Olise, Musiala, Luis Diaz, and so on, but they need to improve defensively. And people say, but they were defensively also not that great when they won the Champions League in 2020, and they used that high line that Flick used. Yeah, but going forward they were that good. They're that good. They could even score 8 goals against Barcelona. They could even score 7 goals against Chelsea, because their attack was that good, so they can get away with it defensively. But Bayern Munich's attack is very good, but it's not that good as it was in 2020. So that's why if they want to win the Champions League next year, they have to improve defensively, because again, like, they conceded 5 goals against PSG in the first game. They conceded also a couple of goals against Real Madrid in the first leg, in the quarterfinals, over 2 legs. So and also, like I said, Kompany has done a very, very, very good job. Bayern Munich, considering before he came in, Bayern Munich, they lost the Bundesliga. They finished 3rd. They had a poor season under Tuchel. He came in and did a very good job for them. But again, the main target for Bayern Munich is to win the Champions League, and he hasn't done that over 2 seasons yet. So that's it, guys. Thank you. I wish you have a nice day. See you next time, and don't forget, like I said, to like, share, subscribe, and increase more videos, more views on those football shows I do to make this channel bigger than ever. And yeah, have a nice day. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye.